What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have a new install for today that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be converting these stock factory halogen headlights that we have here, and we're going to be taking them and converting them over to an HID kit. If you're not familiar, these headlights are god-awful terrible. I cannot stand them. Driving at nighttime is definitely quite a bit of a pain, just because they're not bright at all and they're not very clear. I'm going to demonstrate that, and I'm going to show you that for you here just in my driveway. I'll just turn the lights off and show you what it looks like with these factory headlights. Also, it is important to note too as well, I am having an issue with basically my turn signal switch. The issue that I'm having, so my wipers will be turned off on this, but if my low beams are on, then they're just going to randomly start running constantly, and that's the issue. And it's also why my high beams are always on in this car. Now, I haven't had too much of an issue with that, because even with the high beams on, they're not that bright at all. Like, I'm not blinding other people as they go by. That just goes to show how bad these headlights are and that they could use a little bit of an upgrade. So I'm just going to demonstrate that for you here real quick. We will turn this car on. Power's on. I'm going to turn, basically right now my brights are on. This is pushed all the way forward, and then if we go to turn on my headlights here, 1 click, 2 click, headlights are on. Now if I go to turn, and you can see my brights are on, it has the little blue light piece right up there. So if we go to turn this off, and note that my windshield, my wipers are all the way off. This is twisted all the way back, which means that these are off. You can't go anymore. But if I go to pull this back to take my brights off for my normal low beams, you can see these are now activated and run constantly with this. If I turn my brights back on, they will finally shut off and the issue is taken care of. However, my high beams are on, which you might not want. This is a pretty common issue, actually, believe it or not, with these cars. And most of the time, the fix is going to be to replace your actual whole entire toggle assembly switch right here. I'm gonna try to fix this without having to replace this, because this is a little bit more expensive of a switch than it should be. But if I have this on low beam, but still have it push forward a little bit, it kind of tricks it into thinking. So right now it's on low beam, and I'm just holding this forward a little bit, pushing it forward. If I let this go all the way back, they'll turn on. But if it's pushed forward a little bit, it'll keep them off. The plan that I have is basically to wedge something in between right here in order to keep it from coming all the way back and activating these wipers. I'm gonna get to showing you what kit that I have and everything that I have for my setup that I'm gonna run after I fix this issue here first. I'm gonna try to take this little edge trim protector piece that I just cut off here, and we're gonna see if we can put that basically on the collar of this, and if that would push it up forward enough. That's gonna be the first thing that I'm gonna try. I have a couple of different sizes of this trim protector piece, but hopefully it'll stay right on the edge of this. I'll show you what it looks like once I do it here, if it does work. I believe I found a solution. I did have to end up loosening up basically this plastic piece and separating it over here, the bottom from the top. It's just 2 screws down here underneath this console piece. There's 2 screws down here. They're an Allen key. I removed those. I stuck just a little screwdriver in between here to separate it. And what I have in between here is a little edge trim protector piece that I was saying. This is for fitting a 1/8 inch diameter edge, basically. And I was able to wedge it in here and fit it in between. It's on there pretty secure. And what it does is it just pushes this turn signal switch ever so slightly forward. It's not super noticeable. I mean, you can see it if you go and look for it. You can tell it's not factory, but we're gonna turn the key on here and I'll show you what it does for us. So right now, the brights are on. Brights are on all the way forward. And then we'll turn our lights on. So lights are on. So this is normal. This is how it was. Now when we go to turn this off, what it was doing, as soon as we turn this down to the low beams, the wipers would start. So if you pull this back, I accidentally pulled it back too far, but the wipers only went one time and they stopped. They're not doing anything right now. So that tells me that this is working, and hopefully this won't cause us any more issues. Now that this is taken care of, we're gonna go over this HID kit. Here is our complete kit that we have to run on this. This is from Xenon Supply. That's where I found this. According to the forums, they say that this is one of the best brands to go with. Comes with everything that you need, and people are having very little issues running these specific HIDs on this car. Now, when you go to buy these from Xenon Supply, there's a laundry list of options that you have to select and drop downs for getting what exactly it is that you want. I'm gonna try to cover that here a little bit and tell you about everything that I got specifically. I'm gonna put it all down in the description, everything that I got. It might be a little bit different for you depending on your needs and what it is that you're wanting. For starters, this is going to be the wiring harness and the kit right here. This is what's gonna allow us to run this directly up to our battery. In this box here, these are the ballasts that you need for HID. The ones that I went with the 55 watters. Now there's two different 55 watts options when you select these. This is the lower quality of the two. However, it still is a 55 watt, which is more than the 35 watt. It's gonna have a higher light output. That's the reason I went with the 55s over the 35s. The only downside to this is the longevity of your bulb is not going to be as great because it's gonna be running hotter with this 55 watt. So just keep that in mind. And then if we come over here, we have our bulbs. These are the bulbs that come in the kit. They come with all of the pigtails and the harnesses that you'll need for it. I ended up going with 6,000 Kelvin. It's gonna be like more of a bluish color light. Now, if this makes any sense, when you have a higher wattage, such as these 55 watt ballasts that I have here, what this is going to do is basically reduce the Kelvin rating of these. So because these are 6,000 Kelvin, in combination of running it with these, it's gonna reduce it down to be closer to about 5,000 Kelvin. And what that is that's just referring to the color of the actual light. 5,000 Kelvin is probably like the cleanest, crispest white color that comes on a lot of factory good headlights. That's kind of the look I'm going for. So that's why I went with the 6,000 Kelvin. Another thing to point out too, this is gonna make things probably a little bit more confusing, but this car is a 2016, and this is the 1 year of these cars where the actual size of these bulbs is going to be a little bit different. The size of these bulbs that are going to fit is actually a 9005, as opposed to all the other years is going to be a 9006. Lastly, in here, I think these are the no warning light on your dash. So these could possibly trip warning lights if you don't have these little capacitors here to run. So we're gonna run these so that way we don't get any more lights up on our dash saying that our lights do not work. Before we get started in installing this, I'm gonna show you what these factory headlights look like here. I'm gonna flick on the low beams, give these a shot here. So there's our low beams, that's what they look like. And from my experience driving this at nighttime, it's not super enjoyable. We're gonna flick on the brights here now too, so that way you can see those. It doesn't look too bad actually on camera, but it definitely is a lot worse than it does look. I figured I'd just show you what it looks like from the outside of the car too as well. Now onto the install. I need to get access to the backside of this headlight. Now there's a little piece underneath this wheel well right here, and it's a little access panel for us to get to the underside and get into the actual headlight bulb. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna start the car and turn the wheel over so that way we have access to that. Here's the little cover access panel right here. And now if we look inside here, you are going to see basically you have that big, trying to hold this here, this big cap piece right here. This will untwist and we can get inside here. Once you have your dust cover piece off, this is what it looks like. It just unscrews counterclockwise. I did have to jack the car up just a little bit too to give me a little bit more space in here. With the coilovers being lowered, I hardly had any room to work in here. That's what it looks like basically on the inside of the headlight right there where we pulled that cover piece off. If we go in there, we're gonna remove the factory halogen headlight. There's the clip and there's the bulb for it. Next up, I will need to drill out this cover piece for the back side of the headlight in order to fit our little grommet piece in here for our headlight bulb. I just have the drill bit and I have one of these step up drills. Hopefully this will be big enough. We'll put a pretty decent sized hole into the other side here of this. If you're wondering what this side's for, that's for my accessory lights. Once you get this hole widened up big enough, that grommet will fit through just like so. And you'll notice that my bulb is on this side of this piece right here. Now we're going to screw in our bulb here, the HID, and also clip in our little harness clip here. And then because I do have my other wires too as well, I will have to make sure to feed them through this for my other accessory lights before we go ahead and twist this all the way on. I now have the back side of this mounted on here properly. I have all my wiring coming through here the way I want it to, and I sent it to the inside. So where we're gonna have it come out of, that wiring, is it's right here. You can see all these clips. There's 3 extra clips right here. They're right in this area that we can get to in the bay. What I plan on doing is we need to take our ballast here next, and I'm gonna take this and we're actually gonna put this, I'm gonna mount it to the side chassis piece right here. I think that's a good spot for it. Kind of keeps it out of the way. It shouldn't be getting wet or anything like that right in this area. We're gonna work on mounting this piece up here to the sidewell, and then we'll hook up all these clips that we need to next. I just wanted to show you real quick how I'm mounting these up. On the back side of these, you'll notice that these are just blank. What I did was I took some Velcro here and stuck it to one side of this, and then this is the sticky side. We're gonna stick that directly to this. Right now I have my main wiring harness. I just want to kind of loosely put this on here so that way I kind of know where stuff goes. I just want to make sure I have the right connections for everything before I start clipping everything in. Looks like I have almost an extra connector that I can't quite figure out where it goes over here. We're going to set this in place. This seems like it's pretty simple and self-explanatory. The red is going to go to the positive side of the battery. We'll just unclip this and we'll loosen up one of these in here, get this red one hooked into one of them in here. And this is fused as well. And then we have a black ground piece right here. This will just go somewhere on the chassis, so I'll have to find a spot for that. And then we have all the pigtail connectors in here. We're just gonna kind of set those, try to get everything set in place here first, and I'll kind of show you, I'll walk you through what I have once it's kind of a little bit more installed. I just mocked up this side over here. We have it all apart. Did the same exact process that I did over there on the other side. And then I ended up mounting the ballast a little bit differently. I have it this way right here. There just wasn't quite enough room to fit it in that same wedge that I did over on the other side with the battery here. It just would have been too close. And then I also did run the wiring harness for everything, and I was able to figure that out. Couple things, we're just gonna simplify this as much as possible. So this red wire that comes off of this relay harness is going to go, it's fused. This is gonna go to your battery, just a positive terminal. You're then also going to have a black ground that comes off of this. I have that routed just to one of these nuts right here. That should be fine, that's just a chassis one. After you have your positive and your negative, you have 3 other wires that come off of this. Now they're all pigtail harnesses. You're gonna have one that's really long, and this is what's gonna go all the way to the passenger side over here. So this is the passenger side. And then I have the air code wire, which is just like the short length of wire with the little resistor piece. That's going on the end of that and connecting to that. And then that is going to my ballast right here. And then those couple additional pigtail wires, those just go to the actual headlight down there. Now, what was confusing was there was one more additional wire over here. I'll try to pull it out so I can show you. Right here. So this is an extra wire. Now I was trying to figure out where this was going, and I just looked up a diagram And the passenger side one does not go to anything. This is just basically an extra wire that you will not need to hook this into anything. Now, as I mentioned, there is 3 total harness pigtails that come off of this. One is that wire right there that goes to the ballast I just showed you. And then the other 2 are both shorter. They both go to this side right here. And we'll go on the wheel well where I have access down here. Now this is the other wire right here. And you'll know it has that yellow piece on it. Same thing as the other side. And this is the extra wire right here that only goes to one of these sides and is going to go to the part that comes out of the headlight and not the ballast. If that makes any sense. So these yellow pieces right here, this is going to go to your ballast wire. So that part on the top, this is what I'm referring to when I'm talking about the ballast. So the wires that come off of this are going to be these small little pigtail ones right here, and then this one right here. And you do need the resistor on this. So this will clip in right up there. We'll clip this in, and then we'll do the little harness wires here too as well. It's kind of a mess. It's kind of confusing. Hopefully I somewhat clarified it for you. I'm gonna test everything out here, clip it in, and make sure it all works. Whoa! These are sweet. This side works, awesome. This side also works, excellent. Let's turn the lights off in here so we can see. This is just a low beam right now too. Get a look for them. The color is a super nice white color. It's not yellow like the factory ones were. Even you look out there, that is a nice white color. That's exactly what you kind of look for and what you would want. It looks pretty crisp. Yeah, these look a lot brighter than they are stock. Right now the car is jacked up in the air, so that's why it's up so high. But let's throw these brights on real quick. Wow, that is super good. Definitely happy with that. Surprisingly, everything for this install worked the first time we did it. It took a minute to actually go through. I will still have to kind of tidy up and figure out where exactly it is that I want to run this relay in here and make the wires a little bit neater. And I still do need to put the covers back in and also finish sealing up just like the rest of the wiring behind and underneath the wheel wells. Get this car back down on the ground. And then once I do that, I'll show you real quick again from the inside of the car. We'll go over the headlights again. Now that everything is put back together on this car and fully assembled, wheels are on, the car's at normal height level, what it would be at. We'll turn the lights off here and we're gonna show you what the low beams look like and then the high beams. A short snippet of it, what it looked like with both the low beams and the high beams. And here's what it looks like here. And for what it projects out here, it is a nice white colored light. Here's what it's gonna look like from inside of the car. Boom, just like so. And now we will switch to our high beams. And that is what those look like. I will show you what these are going to look like going down the road too as well. I definitely do want to test it out and see. Right now the car's in the garage, so it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the lighting. And I mean, I have a slant where the light is shining. I need to make sure that everything is leveled out. I may need to do some more fine tuning or adjusting to either raise or lower where the trajectory is going on this. I'm going to show you guys what these headlights look like that I just installed on the car. There is no indicator or lights up on the dash saying that anything is faulty. Here's what they look like out the front. This is just with the low beams on. Right now is the low beams. I can see pretty darn well in my opinion. So we'll hit the highs. Okay, wow. High beams look also very well. There's a significant improvement over what the stock ones are. Even if the camera can't pick it up, you can definitely tell there's quite a bit of a difference here. Go back to the low beams. That's going to be it for the headlights. I do want to point out the fact that I believe the lumens for these, upon purchasing them, it was listed for, with the 55 watt ballast, it's going to be around, I think 4,000 lumens is what it's going to be. I would imagine that the stock ones, it was kind of hard for me to find, but they were probably right around 1,000 lumens. So with that being said, these are going to be around 3 to 4 times brighter with this setup that I have. Hopefully you learned something from this install if you're doing it yourself, and thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe.